According to reports, as Donald Trump's lawyers were on the Senate floor yesterday making total fools of themselves, Donald Trump himself was down at Mar-a-Lago screaming at his television because he was so furious with his lawyers. There's going to be a subsequent video after this one talking about the actual performance of the lawyers, so I'm not going to get too much into that right here. But I do want to point out, as the report says, Donald Trump was at his Mar-a-Lago estate watching the live coverage of the Senate trial on Newsmax. And the people who were closest to him say that he was screaming at the TV because he was so mad at the performance of his lawyers. Newsmax at one point actually cut away from the live coverage to get some legal input from Alan Dershowitz. And Dershowitz said, "I have no idea what he is doing. The American people are entitled to an argument, but this just, after all kinds of very strong presentations on the part of the House managers, it does not appear to me to be effective advocacy." So even Dershowitz, who has been a staunch defender of Donald Trump, is looking at this and going, wow, I don't know what you're doing, but this is really, really bad because the Democrats did a good job. And then you've got your clown car coming out here doing what they're doing. Again, I'll get into that in the next video. But I want to say this. Donald Trump has every right to be angry that his lawyers are this incompetent. In fact, when he announced his new legal team, we did a segment talking about how horrible these two individuals were. Even before, they'd been on the job for a day. And we already knew based on their history, these aren't exactly the kind of guys who, knock it out of the ballpark whenever they walk into a courtroom, right? So this was predictable and this was expected, and it's exactly what Donald Trump deserves. Not because he's a horrible person, mind you. He deserves it because he's a horrible person, but that's not the reason here. The reason here is because he is the one who drove away the competent lawyers, because he thought he was the smartest guy in the room. So he told them, remember the team of 5 that all abruptly quit over one weekend 2 weeks ago? They all quit because Trump said, you're going to do it my way. You're going to walk in there and you're going to make the legal arguments that I tell you to make, even though I'm not a lawyer, I've never been to law school, and I'm really not good at even winning lawsuits. And the lawyer said, screw this, I'm out. Best of luck to you. And he actually had an attorney on that team who had won, I think, 2 different impeachment trials. Like, this guy knows how to handle impeachment. But even he was too much because Trump told them, you're going to go in there and you're going to make the case that the election was stolen. And they said, okay, that's not what this is about, so we're not going to do that. So that's why they left. That's why Trump has these 2 buffoons on the Senate floor defending him. And that's why he spent all of Tuesday screaming at his television. Days like yesterday kind of make me miss when he was on Twitter, because, man, that would have been fun to see, if only for a day. One of today's video sponsors is Privacy, and right now they have a wonderful offer for all of our Ring of Fire viewers. Go to privacy.com/ROF. Sign up for your Privacy account, and you will receive $5. Privacy.com, their service is absolutely one of the most vital in an online world today, especially during the pandemic. Everyone is encouraged to stay home, so we're ordering more things online. And so your bank account information is more vulnerable than ever. Privacy gives you security. This is a product that I use all of the time, and here's why. If you have ever had your bank account information stolen, if it's been part of a data leak, that is a massive headache, trying to get your money back, trying to repair your credit. Privacy helps take away some of that concern. What Privacy does is it provides a browser extension, or you can go right into the website or into the app, and it can create a virtual bank account or credit card number. It can be a temporary number that only is used one time, or it can be merchant specific, meaning you can create a bank account card that only works for one particular website. So if that account happens to get hacked or has a massive data breach, that card number no longer works with any other website. That is how privacy helps protect your bank account information in an increasingly insecure online world. So again, go to privacy.com/ROF. You get $5 free just for signing up. Or if you don't want to type it in, just click the link at the top of the video description below.